Yeah, it's gotten worse and worse, too. I mean, he knows the days are numbered now in the administration, unless, of course, he calls martial law and runs for a third term, as some worry about. But you know what
right.
he's been doing, though, is he's so brazen about it now. I mean, it's not even trying to hide it. I mean, the executive orders, the usurping of Congress, it just does whatever the heck he wants, whenever he wants. And the people of the world who, follow Matt Damon and Beyonce as their leaders, well, they just go along with it.
Well, it's ridiculous. I mean, you have half of America's asleep watching American Idol, and then, we have these Republicans that don't even have a backbone. I mean, they're worthless. And Obama knows that nobody's going to stand up. Nobody has a set of balls. He can do whatever he wants. I mean, look at John Boehner. I mean, he's a perfect example. He's had so many opportunities to shut down this president, and he just rolls over like a little puppy. It's just makes me sick. It's absolutely nauseating.
But we have proven if people do stand up, whether it's Eric Cantor or just this past week, McCarthy not going to run for the speakership, people can make a difference. They just, like you said, you want to watch American Idol, that's fine, but, DVR it and take care of your home first.
Exactly.
Well, you make a great point. We had a guest on here a while back that said, Sarah Palin has a bigger pair than all of these men that are in Congress and all of these past presidents that we've seen. And we know that Prissy Holly's in the same boat. It's newsfoxes.com. People have to check this out. I could talk to you for hours. Tremendous job by you today. And we're so happy you could join us. And again, take care of those girls. And thank you so much for your service to our country.
Thanks for having me on, Kevin.
Prissy Holly on Mama Grizzly Radio. Visit newsfoxes.com for more on this American patriot. Last week, our friend Span Cordell was on the show telling us about his life with cerebral palsy and how he has overcome obstacles and how he's now fighting for others facing challenges. We also learned about his awesome service dog, Finn. Well, this past week, Governor Palin took to Facebook and Twitter to give Span and Finn some love. Palin writing, quote, "Thank you for your courage and support. Jill sends her best to Finn as well," unquote. Cool stuff from Sarah Palin. And the three coolest black dogs in the USA, no doubt, Jill Hadassah, Finn, and my guy Rex, all Palin-powered pooches. To see any of the governor's posts in their entirety, visit Sarah Palin's Facebook page, follow her on Twitter at Sarah Palin USA, and check out sarahpack.com.
Now, the Palin Update with Kevin Scholla presents Liberty and Legacy. Here's Tamara Colbert.
Are you worth fighting for? Tyranny is always on the march. Look back to the beginning of history. Evil is always rising. If you believe that man was made with a divine freedom gene in our DNA, then our job, our calling as purposefully and wonderfully created human beings is to be in the fight to promote and champion liberty. Friends, being in that fight is a thankless job, as all of you know. For those of us in that political fight, we certainly take for granted the fact we can be open about what we are doing. Others along history's road have not been so lucky. Anyone, though, who stands up in opposition to the power structure is destined to a life of sacrifice. Think about the dictators throughout history who have wreaked havoc and terror and death on every continent, from Argentina to Germany, from Cambodia to Russia and the Congo, and now America. Families have lived under the boot of government not to thrive, but to survive in order to support those in power. Big government will not stop itself. And what we see around the world and even in America is that evil is on the rise. But we, who are called to fight this fight, must call it out for what it is. America is in this epic battle for good and evil, socialism or capitalism. And ultimately, we are responsible for fixing our country and returning it to the liberty and justice and constitutional principles for all of us. And there are heroes among us. When we stand together, we win. I want victory. I want to crush those who wish to enslave our citizens in this blessed nation. And I don't want to apologize. I want to say it straight out. Don't you? I will never, ever fear my government. We must not fear our government, but our federal government must fear the people. They must fear you and me. And there isn't enough fear on Capitol Hill, but I am ready to instill a little fear. And folks, we saw that this week with Kevin McCarthy stepping down. The fact that Bernie Sanders has any support at all emphasizes this strong force of entitlement, free stuff, and government as your daddy truly is. For goodness sakes, Bernie Sanders is a self-proclaimed socialist, and he has $18 trillion of ideas that he will implement if he becomes president. That should wreak terror in all of our hearts and should drive all of us to walking, supporting candidates and doing everything humanly possible to reject and help people reject these Democrat progressive principles. We have rejected the values and principles that were handed down to us by previous generations of Americans because we thought we knew better than they did. But now look at us. Our country is falling apart around us. Evil is winning, but we only have ourselves to blame. I am so proud to know, though, that America's founders had a solution for this growing tyranny in Article 5, a legal recourse for the citizens in our very Constitution, so that we can fight back. This week, again on Capitol Hill, Kevin McCarthy stepped down from what he believed and was told was his birthright to move into the Speaker's chair as Speaker of the House. But he had no intention of doing what the Constitution and the citizens that had elected him to do, what we needed him to do, which was stop Obama and the runaway federal government. He thought, I'm just going to do Boehner business as usual, status quo. And of course, the mainstream media wants you to believe that our government's in chaos because we, you and I together, forced a rhino to step down. Ha! They haven't seen chaos, my friend. This is called the Constitution, and it's working exactly how our founders intended it to slow down a chaotic people when necessary. I ask you, please contact anyone you can think of on the Liberty Caucus who is working inside the Capitol, not just trying to hold the line, but to blow up the status quo for you and me. We may not get to vote for them in their district, at home, wherever that is, but they are thinking of us in this nation. Today's political class, they don't care about you and me. They care about their next election, their donor base, and lobbying dollars. Today's political class's main concern is growing their personal power and influence with no intention of giving it up to do the right thing or to follow the Constitution. And here we have a few hundred elected officials growing their power, lining their pockets, and living high on the taxpayer dime, while our enemies are flourishing and no longer fear us. Our allies do not trust us, and we, the people, are on the verge of becoming nothing more than a quaint relic of a bygone era when some naive men sat in a room in Philadelphia dreaming, daring to dream of being free. Thomas Jefferson said the greatest threat to American freedom is a government that ignores the Constitution. So I'm going to ask you again, are you worth fighting for? I am. My children are. My future grandchildren are. I heard this amazing gospel song today called Worth Fighting For by Brian Courtney Wilson. And some of the lyrics say, "You met me deep in my despair to show me you'd never leave me there. You claimed because I was made for so much more. I'm your child and I'm worth fighting for. Though heavy with the weight of my mistakes, you carried me and refused to let me sink under the pressure you meant for me to soar. I am your child and I am worth fighting for." Isn't that amazing? I am a child of the King who sits on a throne in heaven. I am a legacy of the founders of this nation. I am worth fighting for. You are worth fighting for. We as a nation, as a people, were meant and made for so much more. Yes, we have mistakes, but no nation in the history of this earth has done more to rectify those mistakes than the American people. And I'm doggone proud of you. I am so proud of what we have in our history, but to move forward and be proud of our future, we have to believe, each one of us, that I am worth fighting for. You are worth fighting for. The ideal that is America is worth fighting for. Freedom to self-govern is worth fighting for. And it is time to put on the full armor of God in Ephesians 6, because it is time to rise on the battlefield of truth and freedom for this nation that we love. It is time now to crush those who wish to enslave us, and we must be unapologetic on our march to restore constitutional values in America. We must throw over the tables of the status quo and free the American mind to rise, create, dream, and grow as never before. Are you with me? Tweet me this week at Tamara Colbert, hashtag Mama Grizzly Radio. I believe in you, and you are worth fighting for. I'm Tamara Colbert for Mama Grizzly Radio.
Tamara Colbert in Texas. Tune in for more Liberty and Legacy next week. And to learn about Convention of States, head to conventionofstates.com. Now our weekly commentary, Steel Resolve. Here's Sarah Steelman.
Thanks, Kevin. Well, Hillary predictably received the endorsement of the National Education Association, the largest teachers' union in the country. Again, we are reminded of the difference between the status quo of the Clinton-Obama failures of reforming public education and educational choice advocated by most Republican presidential candidates. It's no secret that the NEA opposes any kind of school choice for students or parents. They advocate for increased funding for education, but the problem is that the higher per-pupil expenditures do not necessarily ensure higher quality education. This has been true in most Missouri schools for decades. Those pupils stuck in low-performing schools could have more options if parents were free to choose which school is best for their child. Providing vouchers or tax credits of some kind to parents to choose a charter or private school over a failing school would give kids a chance at receiving a quality education, as well as relieving many of the other social problems that plague kids who are stuck in rural or urban poverty. But rest assured that if Hillary is elected president, the power of the teachers' unions will only grow stronger, and the power of parents and children will be lost on the educational establishment for yet another decade. This is Sarah Steelman for Mama Grizzly Radio.
Tune in again next week for another segment of Steel Resolve right here on the Palin Update. The Palin Update, including Liberty and Legacy and Steel Resolve, is on demand and available for download. Just head to mamagrizzlyradio.com, pick the show you want to hear, and you can listen anywhere, anytime. Well, that'll just about do it for this edition of the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. Visit mamagrizzlyradio.com for continuing coverage of Governor Palin. Also, like Mama Grizzly Radio on Facebook and follow on Twitter at Mama Grizz Radio, at Kevin Scholla, at Tamara Colbert, and at Sarah_Steelman. And I'm doing some writing for Breitbart News. Go to Breitbart.com and search Kevin Scholla. I want to thank Sarah Steelman, Tamara Colbert, and everyone here at Mama Grizzly Radio. Thanks to Prissy Holly, and thank you for listening today. A special thanks to our sponsor, Narrowgate Security Agency. Visit narrowgate.com. The Palin Update is produced by Lena Anderson, the Andy L. Kramer, and Lori Ann Lewis. Please be sure to join us again next time for another edition of the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla. Have a pleasant day.